Big Daddy here, and today we're going to take a look at a Manjaro-based rolling release plasma version. It's not Manjaro, it's NuRunner. So let's get started. So the first thing about NuRunner is it is Manjaro based, so it runs the Calamares installer. And I think that is one of the best installers out there. It has no trouble scanning all of my internal drives with the various formats in it, and it just runs right through the installer. And I can't say that about some of the other ones that, while scanning the hard disks in my computer, can scan for maybe 5, even sometimes up to 10 minutes. And this zipped right through, so I was really happy with that. Once you get to the desktop, you're going to notice that you're greeted with the welcome screen. And for an Arch-based distro, you usually don't get a welcome screen. OB Revenge is the exception to the rule, and they have an awesome welcome screen. But this is a basic to get you started welcome screen. It has to get started, and you click the update mirrors and the update software. And once that's done, you click the next step, and you have the software tab. So in here, you can do a one-click install of Adobe Flash Player, Firefox plugin, the Chromium, Vivaldi, Wine, and this actually doesn't check your system to see if it's installed because I already have some of these installed. But they do have the check marks there for you to install it. Then when you hit next, you get to the all done screen, and you have a link for the README, the forums, and the GitHub page. So once you get to the desktop, you'll notice that it is on folder view so that you can actually see desktop icons, which is not default in Plasma. So on the desktop, you have two icons, which is the README folder, which takes you to their page and their README page, but it should be probably updated because it says they're running Plasma 5.8.5, and I'll show you later that they are running the latest 5.9, so some of these are outdated versions. Then you have a My Computer button, reminiscent of the Windows days, I guess, but it takes you basically to the About system that is in the normal Plasma version, but it gives you a few extra lines. So you see that it's running Plasma 5.9.2. The apps version is 16.12.2. The frameworks is 5.31. Qt version is 5.8. And the kernel is 4.9.12. So my system has an i7 2600 in it and 16 gigabytes of RAM. And it also has a GTX 960 in it. And that's about all we need in there. All right, so once you get to the desktop, it's a traditional layout with your clock and your system tray. Has a icon to bring down the already installed drop-down terminal, which is pretty nice. And it also runs Octopi. Obviously, it's Manjaro-based, so it's going to run Octopi. That is a cute front end for Pac-Man. And it's not my preference, but that's what's there. So then you come over here and you got your normal task manager and shortcuts, and we come to the menu. Now the menu is the NetRunner menu, and it is almost identical to the applications menu. The only difference that I have noticed, and this may not be specific to the menu but specific to a setting that they have set, but you got to be ready to restart if you actually hit the restart button, because there's no confirmation. And I know that from first-hand experience, just so you know. All right, so the alternatives are the application dashboard, which is the full screen, the application launcher, which is the default in Plasma, the application menu, which we just talked about, and the simple menu. And the simple menu is a slingshot type menu where you have your big icons. This is your favorite section with your power options, and you scroll through for your applications. You can also start typing, but I noticed that the icons are not there when you actually type. They're only there when you scroll through the all applications. So I'm going to put it back on the NetRunner menu. And let's go through some of the software. So for the software, they have a lot installed. KDE Marble's installed. Quite a few games already installed. For graphics, you have the normal GIMP, GwenView, Ocular PDF, Spectacle, and a few other ones that are installed. For internet, I installed Chromium and Vivaldi. The rest, Firefox and Thunderbird and all that was installed. Multimedia, I installed OBS and Simple Screen Recorder. And the rest was already installed. So you have Cantata, Audacious, and a few other things in here. You have LibreOffice. You have the settings area where you have, obviously, the Manjaro settings manager and your system settings. Under the system, you have a couple added features like the Grub Customizer, HTOP, and the drop-down terminal. Under utilities, you have a couple more like FileLight and the SUSE Studio Image Writer, which I would be interested to try because that was my favorite USB writer. And the only reason I stopped using it was because at some point it stopped working with Plasma, or one of the installs that I had, I couldn't get it installed working properly. So I ended up trying to find a new one, and I ended up on Etcher, and that has been flawless ever since. But I'd be interested to know if this actually works well. All right, so let's go back to Dolphin here and take a look at what they've done with the customizations. So you can do this all by hand if you'd like to in your Dolphin, but they've done it for you where they have added hidden files, a button for that, and added an icon, a create folder button, a refresh button, or a reload button, which is very nice because there are times when you copy files over in Dolphin and it doesn't actually show up right away. You have the split screen, and the terminal, which these options here are pretty good defaults. I mean, these are pretty much all you would need to run Dolphin in an everyday fashion. So when you right-click on a folder, you also get a couple more actions, like they give you the decrypt and encrypt actions. The root actions are here, which is always a plus, and change permissions. So they have added some very nice customizations to it. So speaking of settings and customization, let's go look at the actual settings. And they have done a lot of moving around in here. Some of it is good and some of it is, I don't know about. But let's take a look at it. So in the account details, they have moved things around. And the online accounts they have put here specifically, and probably should be in with the account details, but those aren't big deals. In workspace behavior, they have added a few things like task switcher and splash screen. Desktop appearance, this is where they've changed a lot of it around. So they have added widget style, window decorations, and GNOME application style to the appearance or desktop appearance section, which is exactly where they should be in my opinion. Because if you go into desktop appearance, you want to see everything in one location that you can change that has anything to do with the appearance. Now, I think there should be a few more in here, but we'll get to that. So you'll notice that there's a couple of the leftover themes because this is a fork of NetRunner. So you have NetRunner BlueX and Maui Plasma look and feel themes in here. Everything else is pretty much, now I changed the window widget style to Fusion, but everything else is pretty much your normal run-of-the-mill settings. But I did want to show you that you have desktop theme in here, which is where it should be. But then when you come out here under appearance and workspace theme, you also have desktop theme. So I'm not sure why they have it in both places. Probably should just be left in desktop appearance. All right, for connections, under network you have connections, and this is the only thing under network. So this is your, wired connection or your Wi-Fi settings. But they've moved network settings down to hardware. And they actually moved proxy and connection preferences to the other category. So I think I'll just say that I don't know why that is, but we'll just leave it at that. Then when you go down further, you got display, you got audio input devices, and these are mostly normal settings that are supposed to be here. All right, then like I said, you come down to other, and it's just basically an eclectic, miscellaneous category of things that were not put other places. Like paths are usually other places. Window rules are usually in window management. Window rules here are usually in Windows management. And activities are usually in workspace behavior. So definitely move some things around. They also have the Plasma services, which is one click on and off for different services like Baloo or K-Wallet, which I do like that. That is pretty nice. And then you have the kernel, and this is the Manjaro kernel installer. And you can install the latest 4.10, which is great. But it shows you what you're running and what's installed. All right, so they also have the Manjaro hardware detection utility in here, and that will pick up your NVIDIA drivers, although I wish it would pick up the network driver for my Wi-Fi, because that would be nice. But I tried to install it through Octopi, and it went through. It installed the driver for the Broadcom card, but it's not actually working at the moment. So all in all, they have moved things around, and some of the changes they have made, like in the desktop appearance, adding these things here, are great. Some of them are, like I would do things a little bit differently. Like, for example, font settings are down here, and you would think they would be in desktop appearance, because that's your appearance of your fonts. But like I said, all in all, they've made a lot of changes. Some of them good, some of them I don't know about. You'll have to be the judge on that. Would I run this? Well, I'll tell you what. It is a very fast Plasma version, faster than Ubuntu-based versions. It is a very nice looking operating system. It's based on Manjaro, so you get the latest updates. You may not get them right away, because Manjaro may hold them a little bit for quality testing, but you do get the latest ones. And I can't speak for the stability long term, but I can say that I have run it for a couple hours now between last night and this morning, and I've been in and out of the settings everywhere you can possibly imagine, and I have not had one Plasma crash, not one system settings crash. The only anomaly that I've had is in system settings. Sometimes when you go to desktop theme in the one section and then you switch to the desktop theme in the other section, it has leftover artifacts. But other than that, I have not had one issue with it. So if I was deciding to go with a Arch-based KDE version, I might give this a go. Would you give it a go? Would you run this? Well, that'll be up to you. So that's what NuRunner is. If you have any questions or comments, put them below, and we'll have a discussion about it. But until next time, Big Daddy out.